Well, it's funny. Normally, I don't have Terminello's take on back-to-back days, but Lou Terminello, this is an exception to the rule because we did a Super Bowl preview yesterday and now a review today. Welcome back.
Alex, after that great game last night, it's good to be back and talking about it.
Now, I know that we had both talked about if Kansas City got off to a hot start, and they did not. I mean, the Eagles kind of took control early, and then Mahomes and the defense also stepped in there midway through the second. I mean, it took a little while, though, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was totally an Eagles first half. They had possession on the clock for 21 minutes and some seconds. The Chiefs had it about 8 and a couple of seconds after that, and that was a huge factor in that first half. It was 24-14 at the half. Probably should have been 24-7, but Jalen's only bad play of the game is when he just dropped that football and it was picked up for the touch and the scoop and score for the 6 points. So, but then in the second half, the Chiefs made the adjustment, and then also let's take a step back. When Mahomes re-injured that ankle and it really looked bad, I did not expect him to come out in the second half, Alex. I really did not. The fact that he came out was surprising to me. The first 3 plays that they ran in the second half, it was all running plays for the Chiefs because they got the second half kickoff. And I wasn't sure if Mahomes could really drop back and pass the ball effectively. But he did. And they scored right away, and then they scored on that next possession, and they really took over the game. And obviously, Mahomes' toughness, his skill is at just another level. His leadership is at another level. But the unsung hero of the Chiefs were their offensive line. Their offensive line, which they said could not handle the Eagles' defensive line, did. And that really was one of the turning points of the game.
So that's why the controversial call is sort of a moot point, considering they gave up all those points in the second half. I mean, the Eagle fans are blaming the refs, but they should look at their own defense for allowing Mahomes to get back into it the way he did, right?
That is true. Andy, when we were talking on the last Terminello's take, we talked about coaching, who's going to outcoach. Is Sirianni going to outcoach Reed, or Reed going to outcoach Sirianni? Reed in the second half made adjustments, and the Philadelphia coaching staff did not retaliate in any way. The deception, the motion of the Kansas City offense, the play design got them their two TDs in the fourth quarter to 2 guys who didn't play the whole game. Kadarius Toney, 6 snaps from scrimmage, 2 snaps on punt returns. Sky Moore, who was on the field for about the same amount of plays. They ran that deception. The first one they ran it right, and Toney caught it. The next one they ran it with Sky Moore on the left side, and the Eagles didn't adjust to it. The Eagles had no sacks. Think about that, Alex. They had 0 sacks. A team that had 70 in a regular, 77 in a regular, 70 in the regular season, plus 8 more in the playoffs, had no sacks yesterday. They didn't come close to Mahomes. Mahomes got hurt when he scrambled and was running forward. That's how he got hurt. But and the Eagles made no adjustments. They didn't blitz. They don't like to blitz because their front 4 can get to you without blitzing. But you could see that yesterday that wasn't the case. They made no adjustments. They didn't blitz. They're going to look at the film and they're going to scratch their head and say, here's a game that we let get away. And in the second half, it was all Kansas City for the most part.
Do you agree that the uproar about the call, I mean, what is your take on that? Because that seems like the most controversial thing today is the holding on Bradbury. But to me, if you grab a jersey, that's always going to be a hold, in my view. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but...
Well, it was a ticky-tacky It definitely was ticky-tacky. But if he didn't grab, even for that slight second, if he didn't grab Smith-Schuster's jersey, even for that 1 second, it wouldn't have been called. If he had just put his arm around him, but the grab, when your hand is closed on that jersey, they're going to call that. Unfortunately, I wish they hadn't, because that would have set up a nice ending. But we're not in this game for a nice ending. They got to call it as they see it. So they did, and even if they didn't call it, it would have been fourth down. Harrison Buckner would have kicked the field goal in all likelihood, 95% from the 32-yard line range. It would be a minute and 45 seconds for the Eagles to get back in field goal range. They might have. There's no guarantee they would. Hurts was the best player on the field yesterday, but Mahomes was the most valuable player. But Hurts was tremendous. His improvement, and I know I've said it during the season, is just remarkable this year. I mean, from last year. It's remarkable.
No, it is fun. And, we got to talk about the announcing as well for a second, because I know that we were both as media people looking into that, and two Jersey guys called a great game, although I thought Olsen at the end was sort of tailing off, but I thought they did a great game overall.
Okay, I thought they were excellent throughout, and I actually thought that at the end of the game, Olsen definitely raised his game, telling McKinnon, you can't go in the end zone, you got to stop, and he did. He was on that play. He really did his research. He worked hard. He let the game breathe. He let the game come to him, not like Tony Romo, who was just breaking down every play ad nauseum, talking too much. Let's face it. I bet you if you ask Sean McManus and the people at CBS in a locked room where nobody can hear, would you take Olsen at $10 million or $17.5 for Romo that you got paying for the next 10 years? I bet you they would say Olsen.
No, I was just thinking that.
The kid had a big game yesterday.
He's the only one. He's the only one, Romo is, that I know that they play film for on his broadcasting, in addition to his football playing days. I'm like,
that's right.
How many film rooms is going to be with Tony Romo, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I thought the broadcast was good yesterday, even from, and I didn't watch the pregame stuff until 6:00, and I thought that the right up until game time, the introduction of the players, the anthems, were all well done. It gave you that feel, that anticipation. It was excellent. The Pat Tillman feature with the course of the coin. It was really nicely done. So I really thought that the broadcast was good. I guess halftime Rihanna was good. I mean, I know she made an obscene gesture, which I didn't see because I was doing a couple of other things during the lengthy halftime. But what I didn't like was the post game. If I had to knock the Fox telecast, it was the post game. Time to put Terry Bradshaw out to pasture, at least on the conference championship, and when they have the Super Bowl game, get him off the platform. You got Tom Rinaldi, one of the best in the business from his days at ESPN. He should be on the platform. They're paying him a lot of money. He should be on the platform. I don't like the Fox pre and post game crew, with the exception of Kurt Menefee. The rest of them,
You don't like Strahan, huh?
I really don't. I don't like any of them. I don't like Howie Long. I really don't. Jimmy Johnson. I mean, it's not that it's not like I don't like him personally. Most of these pregame shows don't do anything for me anyway. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, especially on Sunday when it's a 5-hour pregame show, Super Bowl Sunday. It's ridiculous. Terribly ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So that's as far as the telecasts go. But the Jersey boys did themselves proud. They did.
And I know you're a Jerseyite, so you must have been really proud as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing about all of this is that obviously I was at an event last night and I got to kick a field goal, which was pretty cool. And I know I shared that video all over the place, but maybe one day you'll be able to kick a field goal too at MetLife, Lou. I know that's a bucket list, right?
Yeah, well, with two artificial hips and a right knee that's not in great shape, I don't know if that's going to happen, but you never know. But that was very impressive what you did yesterday. I was really taken aback by that. You should be very, very proud of yourself.
That's why I was running all over the field. I felt like a relief because I kept missing it. I just wanted to get over the hump right. I got it. So there's that. All right. So, I know now everybody's looking at free agency because we've talked about this. The quarterback market is white hot. I don't know. I think that Sean Payton in Denver is going to change Russell Wilson a little bit. We'll have to see. But overall, now all eyes will turn on Danny Jones and whether they can re-sign him here in New York, and of course the Jets situation.
Yeah, the Jets have as we've been saying right throughout, that's a challenge, the Jets quarterback situation. They have to do something soon if they're going to get somebody via trade or free agency, because they want to do it before March 15th, because various compensation issues are involved. And I don't mean compensation to the teams. I mean the heavy compensation to the players, their bonuses and things like that. So I don't know where the Jets are going to go. Apparently there was a rumor that Adam Schefter broke yesterday, a story that he broke saying that the Jets have inquired or are going to inquire about Rodgers. Again, I don't know if that's the best thing for the Jets. Obviously, he's the most skilled guy, but we'll see. It seems like Derek Carr is going to head to New Orleans. It seemed there were some reports today saying that they've agreed on compensation. Obviously, I don't think he can announce the trade just yet. And Derek Carr is better off in the NFC than the AFC. And, getting back to the Super Bowl, and I have been saying this, for a while, the AFC was superior to the NFC this year. And you saw it yesterday. I mean, the Eagles are good, and they're going to continue to be good. They have some free agents that they have to sign from their defense. I think 7 starters have to be re-signed, 3 on offense, 2 if Jason Kelsey retires. But the Eagles, yes, they gave up 35 points. They did not face a lot of great quarterbacks during the regular season. Like Kansas City played, San Francisco, they played Cincinnati, they played Buffalo in the regular season. They played Herbert twice. All that adds up during the course of the season. Philadelphia played one of the easiest schedules in the league, as did the whole NFC East did. So I don't know if that had an effect on it, the game yesterday, but it does prepare you in different ways. So, we'll see. I mean, I don't think Derek Carr is going to sign with a AFC team. And why would Rodgers come to the Jets? Because you have to face all those great quarterbacks. Go to an NFC team if there's an opening there. I don't know, but we'll see. Hopefully the Jets could upgrade the position. As far as Daniel Jones, the Giants are signing him. And if I don't think the Giants are going to get cute in any way, I think they'll sign him. I mean, he's done his job, and he has a chance to be real good.
He does,
I really do. And as you know, I've been a Daniel Jones guy since the beginning. I think he's good.
I think his coach of the year is why he's good. I think he's finally being utilized properly by Brian Daboll, and that's probably a reason why he got coach of the year, which it's funny, on our preview, we didn't even mention that, but we should, Brian Daboll deserved that. And I was at the Coaches Club last night, steps away from the interview room, where I'm sure, Daboll has lit up that interview room every week, has he not?
Well, obviously he did a very good job. I'm surprised he won Coach of the Year. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Shanahan was going to get it with the the three quarterbacks he had to go through and the 2 injuries. I thought that Shanahan was going to get Coach of the Year. Got to remember, Giants only won 3 out of their last 10 games. They only won 3 out of the last 10 games. One against the pathetic Colts, the other one against Washington, and the playoff game against Minnesota. Not knocking what Dable has done, and Dable did solidify the Giants, no doubt about it. But I thought that Shanahan was going to get it. But I have no problem with Dable getting it.
There you go. All right. So now we move on to that. I got to ask you about this because right now the Knicks and Nets are playing, and I know that's your team, the Nets. But you said to me earlier today the fact that the Nets, if they don't beat the Knicks, they're really in trouble. Expand on that with me for a minute.
No, I said just the opposite. I said if the Knicks don't beat the Nets tonight.
Right, it was the other way around, yes.
Yeah. Obviously, the Nets have beaten them 9 in a row. They don't have Durant anymore. Durant had beaten them 11. They were 11-0 against the Knicks with Durant playing since he came to the Nets. The Nets are starting 4 guys who a week ago weren't even on the team, and the 2 guys they got from Dallas and the 2 guys that they got from Phoenix, Bridges, who's an excellent player, Cam Johnson, who's an excellent player, Finney-Smith, and Dinwiddie, who they got from Dallas. They're starting with Claxton tonight, and they started the other night. Nets played very well the other night against a team much better than them at this stage, the Sixers. They led 95% of the time until the very end, but down the stretch they couldn't hit a basket. And in the NBA, that's where the stars and the superstars come out, and the Nets don't have that anymore. Same thing with the Knicks. The Knicks don't have a superstar, but the Knicks have continuity. They've been there all year, and like I said, if they can't beat the Nets tonight, I don't know when they'll beat them. So that's the case. I like what actually in a terrible situation with Durant and Kyrie. I think they did pretty well. I mean, now that they have 4 number 1 draft picks coming up, 23. 25, 27, 29, all unprotected. So if Phoenix goes in a dumper in the next couple of years, that could be a very high pick. They have 2 picks this year, their own and Phoenix's. So we'll see. It was a thing that didn't work for them, and obviously, one thing why Durant said, if you can't trade me this year, that's fine. We'll revisit at the end of the year. So, and the one thing is, on the court, Durant always played hard, but it's too bad it didn't work out. And now you take it from here. I have faith in Sean Marks. I really do. I do. I mean, he's a pretty good general manager. I know this is obviously a chance where he took a risk that anybody would take. And this is not going to be the end of the super teams. They're going to try to put them together. They always will. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. And this one didn't work because Kyrie is such a loose cannon. Fantastic player. I mean, just fantastic, but he's a loose cannon.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Kyrie, and I'll tell you why. Because now the staying on the bench until I'm traded has hit the NHL. The Coyotes announced their star defenseman, Chychrun, or however you say it, is sitting until he's traded.
Jacob Chychrun.
And to me, this is a problem where these guys now feel like they can sit before being terrible.
Well, again, is this Arizona holding him out until they trade him, or he's just I know that he didn't play on Saturday. I didn't know the reason why. So, I mean, if Arizona's close to a trade, they don't want to play him because that would hurt.
Right. It is mainly Arizona's call on this, but isn't that still a little robbing of the fans to bench your star player even if you want him traded? Imagine Major League Baseball did that and we didn't see like an Ohtani for 10 days before the trade. They'd be in uproar about that.
No, it's true, but again, Arizona. You got to look at each situation is different. You look at Arizona, a team that's trying to build. They're trying to get a new arena. They're playing at that new Arizona State arena, which is all well and good that it's new, but it's not It's not an NHL arena. It only holds 5,200. And there's no guarantee that they're going to get an arena in Phoenix. It's going to go to vote in November, and it's on a referendum. And if that doesn't win, I don't know what's going to happen with the Arizona Coyotes. Jacob Chychrun is a terrific defenseman. He's going to help somebody, and a lot of teams have been mentioned. And we'll see. But they're holding him out because they must be close to a trade. They got to be. And the last thing they want is him to be playing, him to get a puck in the face, or a broken hand trying to block a shot, that would cost the Coyotes.
Speaking of all of that, I've got to ask you about this because and I lost my train of thought. Hang on one second. Speaking of all of that, so the Islanders get Bo Horvat, and he's made such an impact. But as you say, the deadline's still around the corner. Is there any more moves the Islanders can make?
I don't know. I really don't. You could see it right away that Horvath has made a difference. The Islanders obviously have nobody like him who thinks goal scoring first. He's a terrific player. Him and Barzal have worked out very well on the same line together on the top line. I think they need to make a move. They really need a puck-moving defenseman. They need another guy to put the puck in the net. They got to do something quickly, and if they don't, like I said to you last week, I'm not sure that they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, I would say that they got a 20% chance to make the playoffs right now. They lost a 2-goal lead to Vancouver the other night in the third period at UBS. Cannot happen. That cannot happen. And then they played Montreal. Again, Montreal's not going to make the playoffs. And they lost in overtime. You got a point. You got to have two, and it's a very, very difficult situation for the Islanders right now. I don't think they know which way to go. I'm surprised that Lou didn't upgrade the roster, as I said during the off season. Sorokin is their best player. He's a tremendous goaltender. If the Devils had Sorokin, I would say they would have a chance to win the Cup. I mean, the Devils have a terrific young team, but I don't know if they have the experience to win 4 playoff rounds. And right now they're playing without their best player. And the guy who I thought was most valuable player in the National Hockey League this year, in Jack Hughes. Connor McDavid's going to win it, but he's really the most outstanding player in the league. But Edmonton's playing very well lately, and they really moved up in the standings. So McDavid's going to win MVP. It's a fait accompli.
Well, I'll tell you, it's weird. I went to the game a week ago tonight, and then 2 days later, he gets injured. I'm like, I hope I didn't jinx the poor kid, Jack Hughes. But
and he had a big night tonight. You went last Monday.
2 goals and an assist, and people thought he scored the final goal, so they actually threw hats on the ice, which I thought was kind of funny.
Well, he had 35 goals, and I don't know how long he's going to be out, but that's good. I have a feeling that he was going to score 55 goals.
And then on the other side of town, you got the Rangers, who seem to be moving along quite well after the All-Star break. Not only getting Tarasenko, but winning 3 or 4 in a row. And now, obviously, they have a breather, but I still think they can move up in the standings. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, they definitely can. Getting Tarasenko was a tremendous move. I mean, I don't know if they're going to sign him long-term, but as a rental, he will help them out a lot. He's good friends with Panarin, and that might be an influence on him to sign long-term. Again, I don't even know if the Rangers want to sign him long-term, depending on their cap situation. But he's a goal scorer. He thinks goals first. A tremendous player. A quick shot. He has a scorer's mentality. And I don't think the Rangers are through. I think the Rangers are going to get somebody else.
I feel that too.
The Rangers have a great chance to win the Cup because their goaltender is as we know, he won the Vezina last year, is off the charts also.
He's getting back to that form. It took a while, though, did it not?
Yeah, it did. I mean, he wasn't as good early on as he was last year, but no, he's back. He is definitely back.
And as I say about the Western Conference, the Eastern, it's sort of always is the same. You got Boston and Carolina always at the top, but the Devils were a difference this year. But on the Western side, I didn't see, the Oilers in 6th or 7th because they have Connor McDavid. I didn't see the Avalanche not even in the discussion right now because they just won the Cup last year, but it's a topsy-turvy conference, and my dad's team, the Blackhawks, again, a non-factor. That's a troubling thing, too, when the Blackhawks are struggling in the West.
Well, the Blackhawks obviously are going through a rebuild. I'm sure Patrick Kane will be traded at the deadline. I'm not sure that the Rangers or Islanders, who he was linked to before the Islanders got Horvat and the Rangers got Tarasenko, if they're going to get Patrick Kane. But I have a feeling he's going to be moved. Apparently this week he's going to have discussions with the Blackhawks on where he would go because he has a full no-move clause. And, we'll see. I mean, he's a great player. He only has 9 goals this year, so you don't want to give up too much for him. And Jonathan Toews, too. I mean, these guys are on the other side of their career. And can they help somebody down the stretch? Yeah, I think they could.
I don't know. We'll have to see how this whole thing plays out. I'm very impressed with Seattle. I'm very impressed with Vegas coming back to sort of normal. I mean, that was how they started their tenure, right? Their franchise up at the top, and then in the conference, win the conference and then the Stanley Cup. They're back to where they used to be, so that's kind of cool. But there's 2 months left or 3 months, and we got to see where this goes. I want to get to baseball because, they just made the new announcement, and I know you are a purist with baseball, and the rule changes might drive you crazy, but I don't mind the runner on second in extra innings. It's just something that I'm used to by now. I don't know if you are, but I am at this point.
No, I hate it. I mean, some of the beauty of baseball are these long games, these 17, 18-inning games are memorable. Okay, if you wanna have a free runner, don't do it in the 10th inning. Do it in the 12th inning if you have to do it. I mean, even then I would hate it, but you play 9 innings and then you put somebody in scoring position. I mean, I don't get it. Put him at first base. Don't put him at second base. I don't like it. I mean, I think they've done some good things, getting rid of the shift. I don't like that the bags have gone from 15 inches to 18 inches. But okay, I'll live with that. I like the clock, the pitch clock. Hopefully they'll be able to enforce it. But I can't stand. And remember that it was a COVID rule. The runner at second base. But I knew they were going to force it down the fan's throat. But I'm just a fan.
I want to get 2 predictions. I want to revisit 2 predictions while we're on this because you predicted with this 46 interleague season, 46 game interleague season or something to that effect. This
46.
Is a radical change to the MLB. What else do you see happening, and do you want to expand on that prediction for future years now?
Well, I think you're going to see radical realignment because I know even in the late 90s, Bud Selig was hoping for that. I hope we don't see that.
And then on the NFL side, I was more curious about the idea that this Super Bowl could be pushed to President's Day weekend. Are you really thinking that could happen?
Oh, I think that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
That's
matter of time, my friend.
And as I say, the day after Super Bowl should be a national holiday anyway.
Hey, I would have no problem with that.
Why not? Why not? All right, Lou. One other thing here. There's a group called the Never Miss a Super Bowl crew, and Mr. Crinson, one of the surviving members, got a ticket to Super Bowl weekend, and he's got a perfect record Can you imagine? You would love to go to every Super Bowl, right, Lou?
Alex, it is the only major sporting event I've never attended. I've been to Stanley Cup Finals. I've been to NBA Finals. I've been to Final Fours. I've been to World Cup semifinals. I've been to conference championship games, but in the NFL. But I have never been to the Super Bowl. So I'm envious of those guys.
And that was in our own backyard like 9 years ago already, huh?
It was, yeah. That was in 2014. But I've never been to a Super Bowl game.
You told me a great story of how you watched Pat Mahomes' father play baseball, and people don't maybe not know this, but Mahomes was drafted by the Tigers. He was following in his dad's baseball footsteps. But aren't we just glad he chose football over baseball? I think we are. Just like we're glad Aaron Judge chose baseball over other sports. I mean, they both kind of equal themselves out if you think about it.
Well, it's true. Now, obviously, for your health and well-being and more longevity on your body, baseball is probably better than football. And I don't know how good a player Patrick Mahomes Jr. I know his father. I don't know how good he was. His father was a good, solid major league pitcher. Had a long career. Pitched for the Mets. As in 2000, I guess young Pat, the quarterback, said that in 2000 he was 5 or 6 years old, and he would be playing on the field before the game with all those 2000 Mets that played in the Subway Series. But Pat Mahomes Sr. was a pretty good pitcher for the Mets, and there was one game and he was a very good hitter for a pitcher, which we'll never see anymore because we have the universal DH. And there was a game in Chicago when they were playing the Cubs, and it was the 13th or 14th inning, and he was pitching in relief and tie game. The Mets I think had run out of players, and he got the base hit to put them ahead, and then he won the game. So in that 2000 pennant-winning season, but it's amazing. And I did see a quick highlight yesterday of Patrick Mahomes Jr. In a baseball uniform, and he was obviously the kid's a good athlete.
All right, one last thing, because I brought this to your attention yesterday, and you know it too. This is one of the most disciplined football games I've seen in a while, meaning no one was pushed out of bounds after going out of bounds for a 15-yarder. And despite that one penalty, they stayed pretty clean the whole way. And I think that's what made the Super Bowl so good, is that they weren't bogged down by penalties, right?
Oh, for sure. When it becomes Flag City, it just disrupts the flow of the game. I heard some people criticizing the officiating throughout the game. I thought it was officiated decently. That last call, like I said, ticky-tack, okay. But, hey, it happened. What could you do?
And one last thing. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go.
No. And one last thing is that thank God there weren't any identified foreign objects over the stadium. That would have been pretty bad.
It would have been pretty bad, and especially when now you hear that commercial air traffic is threatened by these objects. It's pretty scary.
It's quite amazing that they're shutting down airspaces around the country. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I do want to put a bow on all of this Super Bowl talk, because next time we talk, hopefully football's in the rear mirror for now until Daniel Jones gets re-signed. Then we'll revisit this. But overall, was it a classic that we thought? We had two 16-3 teams, top of their conferences. I thought Fox did a great job pointing that out. I thought Kevin Burkhardt did a great job pointing that out. And I just think the records showed on the field. It was very competitive, and it was a classic, and it was as advertised, right?
Oh, I would definitely say so. I would say it was a classic. I would say it's one of the better Super Bowls. It was exciting to the end. But there's one thing, Alex, about an NFL game. This is the third time in Super Bowl history that a team was going to let another team score so they can get the ball back. It happened Green Bay and Denver and San Diego in '97. It happened in Indianapolis Giants and the Patriots, and it happened last night. Except McKinnon stopped at the one. That's a flaw of the NFL game, of a football game. You don't see that in baseball. That's why baseball is a pure sport. Nobody's going to let you score in baseball to get the ball back because there's no clock. And the ending was a little anticlimactic. It was, and but it was overall it was a classic game led by a classic player, a guy who showed his guts, his toughness. Obviously, he was hurt, and some NBA players who don't play when they have a pulled hangnail, and should look at Patrick Mahomes for some grit. That's for sure.
Oh, I 100% agree, and it was just fun. And one last thing about the New York Impacts. Steve Spagnuolo doing it again 15 years later at Glendale on the sideline as defensive coordinator. We can't ignore the Giants' ties to this because obviously Spagnuolo...
Well, remember, Spagnuolo was with the Eagles first. So
oh, yeah, that's right.
He was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles before the Giants. So,
And it was the Indy Reed Bowl because he had a shadow over both teams, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
All right, Lou. Sure. And Kadarius Toney, I'm so happy for him. He was another former Giant, and he's found himself back. He was a little injured, came back, and as you mentioned earlier, the deceptionness was great. I loved how Moore was wide open over there in by no man's land, and that's how they scored, right? And remember,
absolutely.
That's how the Giants won because he had Burris out there in the open. No one saw that coming, and boom, that was it after the catch.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. Now, again, the Eagles defensively made no adjustments on that. I mean, they got burned not once but twice on the same play. And talk about Kadarius Toney, for a guy who only played 8 snaps, 6 from scrimmage, and returned 2 punts. You talk about an impact on a game based on the number of plays that he got in. That's pretty good.
And then, of course,
I have a feeling that next year they're going since he'll be with them from training camp. I have a feeling that he's going to be a big time player. They're going to try to make him what Tyreek Hill used to be in the Kansas City offense. I could be wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that trajectory, by the way, Tyreek on the Dolphins, where Tua is, and of course Tua replaced Hurts, and the rest is history in my view, because when they both have different trajectories in the NFL, isn't that something? On the same team, different trajectories now in the NFL, though.
Yeah, well, like I said, Jalen Hurts keeps working and working and working. I mean, 2 years ago, he could not pass like he did this year. I mean, it's incredible how accurate his pass game has become. It really is. Can he have a little bit more arm strength? Can he work on his arm strength a little bit for the deep ball? Maybe, if you want to get nitpicking. But the kid's terrific, great player. And if the fourth quarter had went differently, even if the Chiefs had won, if it went differently, he could have been a guy who won the MVP in a loss. That's how good Jalen Hurts was yesterday.
He was pretty damn good despite that one mistake. He kept them in there. So, all right, Lou, we're going to come back next week and turn the page into the winter, spring sports because we're here. Spring training's right around the corner, which is crazy to think about. And I think NBA, Big East, NHL, all heating up. St. John's has to win. St. John's did win a huge one over the weekend, and Seton Hall has to win tomorrow. So we'll see.
Yes, we'll see. That's for sure. We'll talk about that next week. Look forward to it, as always.
Yes, sir. This was Terminello's Take, a review of the Super Bowl and so much more. And we'll have you back, Lou, for sure. Thanks so much for joining the Alex Garrett Sports Spotlight.